Let's talk about Anthropic. The company Anthropic leaked the Claude AI source code. So apparently, they shipped out a new version of Claude, their AI, and it had a file in it that had all the source code.
Yeah,
You hear about
that's
this?
yeah, I did. I've heard some analysis of it. So it's effectively the next kind of generation. If you look at the Claude products, they have what is it? Well, Claude Opus, and then Claude something that starts with an S. Oh, hang on, Claude Sonnet. That's supposed to be the cheaper. So every time they roll out new versions, like the existing kind of which was the best in breed, kind of gets cheaper. They charge less for it,
Okay.
right? You know,
So they're going to
so
zero
that
then. It's the race to zero.
well, yeah. I mean, as they can afford to like offer these
Hmm.
lower knowledge systems at a lower cost, but and we'll see this with the right now the current like best of breed is their what they call their Opus line. Um, and it's like I think 5 times at least more, maybe even 15 times more costly than the Sonnet version. But this Mythos, this is what I think they've already decided what they're going to call it, Mythos or something like that, uh, was leaked, which means that they're kind of under the gun to actually get it out as a product. But it's kind of a faux pas in their perspective. But I think what it does is it kind of sets up the challenge for the other frontier providers to like step up their game. I know OpenAI was supposed to be releasing their best in class kind of thing. And it's just like this arms race, man. And then you get things like BitNet, which is a Microsoft thing where they like did some crazy compaction of how they represent the weights, and then they eliminated the need for floating point math, and it can all be done with like fixed integer math, which CPUs are capable of doing. So suddenly, like things that were seemingly out of reach are like able to run on like commodity hardware, like old PCs and stuff. So, or and I think Apple's at their worldwide developer conference, they always like make some big announcements and big prognostications. I think they're going to probably hint at, if not already announce, some AI hardware, either hardware like in their like small server setup or uh, in the mobile realm, or probably or maybe both, because I think that's kind of where they're still playing.
So what's
But
that? What's that? Like hardware that you could rent, like some sort of cloud computing or something?
or buy. I mean, I think one of the if you played with something called OpenClaw,
Yep,
it's
heard of it.
yeah, it's I'm running it here. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's an agent that you give access to things if you want it to help you with those things, but you have to realize that it could go wrong. So don't give it access to your bank account
But it's not
or
open source though. Is that what?
oh, it is.
Oh, okay. So
What
so isn't
what
that
this the new Claude thing or which you
well?
were talking about?
Yeah,
OpenClaw?
the Claude bot where you give it access to your machine. So that's open source. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
other Anthropic Claude that leaked was not open source. So they have multiple products
No.
closed and open.
Oh, you're confusing. So like Anthropic is the company, and then Claude is their product line for
Right.
their LLMs. And then it sounds very similar, and that's why people confuse it. OpenClaw was a open source project that's
Oh.
been very popular for setting up a machine to act as an agent. And the name sounds very similar, so that's why it's easy to conflate them.
Okay.
That guy actually kind of was doing it on his own, I guess, and then he's been hired by OpenAI, the kind of the competitor to Anthropic, to go and probably do the same thing in a bigger, better
Mm.
way that they'll charge for.
So
So
The
we'll
Claude
see.
bot is not related to this Claude AI, Anthropic's Claude AI.
No, not
Ah.
directly, although it can use the Claude AI to do its work. So that's yeah, it's confusing. It's
Okay.
I kind of like when I was studying up on this stuff a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I can see where it's going, but it's not doing code very well. Yeah, maybe it can write a children's story, but who
Mhm.
cares if
Mhm.
Jack and Jill get, messed up or something?
Yeah.
Your kid's not going to know. They're just going to fall asleep before you're done with it anyway. So, you know, but then when it was like writing code, it's like, man, this is a mess. It's not really, doing anything that effectively. And I kind of like parked it in my mind. It's like, okay, we'll just keep an eye on this, but I'm not going to spend too much time and energy on it until it gets better. Well, it got better. And now I've been using it a lot more in my workflows and stuff. And it's just like these things get smarter and smarter. And now the trick is understanding how to use them and leverage them in the most efficient and effective ways. So that's like kind of we're just moving up the stack of abstractions. It's like, at first you had to learn to code, and then you had to learn how to prompt the LLMs to get them to code good enough. Now you're having to like orchestrate several types of agents together in a way that is most effective for what you need to get done,
Mhm.
and then decide if whatever they created was good enough for you. So yeah, always a changing landscape, and yeah, so it's like I've really had to like kind of get back in the game and get my head around all this. And the good news for me is like someone who's been around programming forever is that these things, the qualities that you had to like hone to be a decent, enterprise programmer are becoming more and more valued in this AI generated world.
Mhm.
So like all the defining your requirements very specifically and defining what your test output needs to be is all most important. And a lot of these skills kind of are beginning. Now businesses haven't figured this out yet, so they still keep whacking people. Did you see? I saw Oracle just like clipped like 18% of their workforce.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was this morning. It's like crazy. So,
Now, do you think
uh,
this is moving us towards more in the direction of open source everything, where you got this leak that came out with Claude AI Anthropic, you got a lot of leaks that come out with people's usernames, like the Ledger leak, and just all the private information where that's constantly getting leaked, these honeypots. And then you got stuff like Bitcoin emerging coming out that's open source and it's secure through proof of work. Do you think there's some sort of battle going on here, and this is leading everyone into the realization that open source is just the way to go?
yeah, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to like sell software,
Yeah.
right? Um, I mean, my old company, SAP, was going through this evolution. They for 50 years they had like made the software and then they licensed it. And then they licensed renewals and updates to it. So like all their customers like paid a big chunk of money to buy the software. They paid a big chunk of money to like implement the software, get it in their business. And then every year they paid well, probably less than half of their original chunk, but still
Mm-hmm.
like year after year, like about significant update costs just
Mm-hmm.
to stay compliant, to stay like up to date and stuff. And since they now had business systems and operations that were dependent on it, they couldn't yank it out. And that was the model. And they were very successful with it. But then when cloud computing came back, it's like, well, you don't have to like actually buy the license to the software. You just, we'll rent it to you month by month on a per seat basis, on a per CPU basis, or something like that. And that's so everything was like going to the cloud. Everything's the cloud subscription, cloud revenue. You get that monthly bill on your credit card for your Apple Music subscription, all that fun stuff. And then it was like that was a difficult transition. And then it was like a transition to consumption based. So like you don't pay by the month, you pay by the song, or you don't pay by the month, you pay by the gigabyte or the compute or whatever. And now with agents, the unit of account is the token that the AI consumes. So now it's like what is your token spend? How are you spending tokens and getting what are you getting out of the spending of all these tokens to ask the AIs to create stuff and do stuff for you. So yeah, that's but what that brings us to is a world where you don't have to be a programmer to get something built. So it's
Right.
like How close are we to like, oh, tax season's coming up, and instead of like buying TurboTax for the year
Mhm.
and using it to do my taxes, I'll just ask the AI to create me a TurboTax that's that understands my situation and does my taxes for me.
Mhm.
And so you didn't buy TurboTax that year, but you spent some amount of tokens with the AI to like get a piece of custom software that maybe only you'll use, or maybe you'll say, hey, this is pretty cool, and I'll give it to my family. But you're not in the mood to like, start up a business and sell it. And even if you could, would that software is like good enough for you, but
Mhm.
it's not production ready to be resold to all other people that, maybe it doesn't work at all for like, maybe it works for you running a bakery, but it doesn't work for, a real estate, more agent or something like that. Yeah. So it's like, I think that we're trending towards like just single use or very niche things,
Mhm.
right? And the code itself, just it's hard to like sell it and get value out of it. It's like it's almost, and this is kind of the open source drove us to like it's better just to give the software away and then charge for consulting or services or support. you
Mhm.
know and that's been the model, but that's a far distance from paying for the software like we used to have to do it.
Yeah, I like that. And open source, if your bakery software works for you, but if it's open source, you put it out there, I could take it perhaps and edit it, right? I could
Yeah,
change it
yeah,
to make it work for me.
yeah,
So I think that's really cool for humanity. Software is just so much easier now to create, critique, edit with all these AI chatbots.
yeah. It's getting more and more commoditized, um, which I mean, think about the Industrial Revolution and moving from agrarian society where everybody was, oh, we gotta harvest this field of wheat. It's time. I gotta hire,
Mm-hmm.
40 people and give them like, these big things with blades on to go out there and like swoop, all the wheat into
The
piles.
sites, yeah,
Yeah. Versus like, oh, I got a track, I got a combine that can just like plow over the whole field and harvest it and like shell it and like put it in a bin automatically, like with one person driving.
yeah.
So, you know, I think there's going to be a displacement of people, at least, at some types of knowledge jobs.
That's what's
And
happening right now, right? With computer work.
it's,
If it can be done on a computer,
yeah,
well, there's these machines, these AIs that could do it. So you don't need 50 guys with scythes running around. There's a big machine that can do it. You don't need
yep.
50 guys in suits sitting in cubes doing the work. There's an AI that can do it.
That's been the promise. And whether it's fulfilled that promise or not, I don't know. But it's definitely something to watch. So